In the heart of Europe, beneath the charming rooftops and cobble streets of Belgium, a secret festered. A secret so disturbing that when it was finally exposed, it shattered an entire nation's trust in its justice system. This is the story of Marc Dutroux, the man who would become known as the Monster of Belgium, and how his crime sparked one of the largest public uprisings in Belgian history. It started, as many tragedies do, with the disappearance of two young girls. In June 1995, 8-year-old Julie Lejeune and her friend Melissa Rousseau vanished while walking along the Meuse River in the town of Grace Holland. The community rallied. Posters went up, volunteers searched, and parents held on to hope. But hope turned into agony when months passed and no trace of the girls was found. Their disappearance remained an open wound in the national psyche. But Julie and Melissa were not the only children to go missing. Over the course of a year, more girls disappeared. 17-year-old Marcel and 19-year-old Yves Lambrechts vanished during a vacation in Ostend. Then 12-year-old Sabine Dardenne and 14-year-old Laetitia Delhez went missing under suspicious circumstances. The Belgian public was gripped with fear. Something was deeply wrong. Children were vanishing, and no one seemed to have any answers. Then came a break. In August 1996, police arrested Marc Dutroux, a 39-year-old man with a known criminal history. He had previously been convicted of kidnapping and sexually assaulting young girls, yet had been released from prison early. When officers searched his home in Marcinelle, what they found would haunt the nation forever. Beneath his unassuming house, behind hidden doors and layers of concrete, was a custom-built dungeon. Inside, Sabine and Laetitia were found alive, starved, terrified, but alive. They had been held captive for weeks in a space no child should ever have known. But the horror didn't end there. As the investigation deepened, police unearthed the bodies of Julie and Melissa buried in Dutroux's backyard. He claimed they had died of starvation while he was serving a brief jail term for car theft. In truth, the girls had cried for help from a dungeon where they were slowly forgotten, abandoned by a man who called himself their savior. Nearby, in another property owned by Dutroux, the remains of an Yves were discovered. They, too, had been abused and murdered. Belgium was horrified, but horror turned to rage when the public realized how many chances authorities had to stop Dutroux, and failed. Dutroux had been on law enforcement's radar for years. He was known to police, suspected in multiple disappearances, and had even been reported by his own mother, but the system failed to act. At one point, police had even searched Dutroux's house while Sabine was imprisoned in the basement, but they never found a hidden dungeon. He had drugged his dogs to keep them quiet and played loud music to muffle her screams. One of the most shocking revelations came when it was revealed that Dutroux had connections to a network of corrupt officials, including police officers and even judges. He had been caught with large sums of money, unexplained assets, and had repeatedly escaped scrutiny. Conspiracy theories swirled. Was Dutroux a lone predator or the front man for something much darker? Public trust in Belgium's justice system collapsed. The final straw came when Jean-Marc Connerat, the investigating magistrate who had rescued Sabine and Laetitia, was removed from the case. His offense? He attended a charity dinner for the victims' families. The act was deemed a conflict of interest. To many, it was just another example of a broken system punishing the wrong people. On October 20th, 1996, something extraordinary happened. Over 300,000 people flooded the streets of Brussels in what became known as the White March. Dressed in white to symbolize the innocence of the victims and the desire for purity and justice, Belgians from every walk of life stood together. It wasn't just a protest against Dutroux. It was a protest against a nation's failure to protect its children. It was one of the largest demonstrations in Belgian history. In the years that followed, the government launched investigations, reformed police agencies, and dismissed numerous officials. But justice still moved painfully slow. It wasn't until 2004, 8 years after his arrest, that Marc Dutroux was finally tried. In court, he showed no remorse. His chilling testimony left observers shaken. He tried to minimize his role, claiming others were more involved, tried to paint himself as a scapegoat, but the jury didn't buy it. He was convicted on all charges: kidnapping, rape, and murder. He received a life sentence with no possibility of parole. His accomplices, including his wife Michelle Martin, who had helped feed the girls while they were in prison and remained silent when they were dying, were also sentenced, though controversially. Martin was later released in 2012, sparking fresh outrage. For Belgium, the case left a permanent scar. Trust in institutions never fully recovered. Even today, many Belgians believe the full truth has never been revealed. Some believe Dutroux was part of a larger trafficking ring, protected by powerful people. Investigations were closed prematurely, files went missing, and key witnesses died under mysterious circumstances. But beyond the speculation, one fact remains. 6 innocent girls lost their lives, and it took far too long for anyone to listen. The Dutroux case is not just a story about a monster. It is a story about how evil can hide in plain sight when those in power turn away. It's about missed warnings, ignored cries, and a public forced to fight for its own justice. And perhaps most tragically, it's a story that could have ended differently if only someone had listened sooner. If the story moved you or made you question how justice can fail those who need it most, then you're not alone. The case of Marc Dutroux isn't just a European tragedy. It's a chilling reminder that monsters sometimes hide behind walls, and systems meant to protect can fall frighteningly short. At Behind the Crimes, Europe and beyond, we uncover the darkest truths from across borders, the cases the world forgot, the stories that still haunt. If you want more deeply researched, thought-provoking crime stories from around the world, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. Your support helps us bring hidden crimes into the light, one case at a time. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next story.